They thought she was weak. They thought the white coat and gentle smile meant she couldn't fight back. But the moment the bullies knocked her to the ground, sending her papers scattering and her stethoscope clattering across the floor, something in her snapped. She got up slowly, her hands trembling, not from fear, but from the fire building inside her. And in her hand was a broken chair leg. What happened next would not only silence the bullies, it would make the entire hospital remember her forever. Aisha was never the type of woman who liked attention. She was a nurse for one reason: she loved caring for people. For years, she worked at the small community hospital on the edge of the city, tending to patients no matter their background, their condition, or their ability to pay. She worked the late-night shifts that others avoided. She held the hands of lonely patients who had no visitors. She stayed after a shift to help clean rooms if the janitors were short-staffed. And she did it all without ever asking for recognition. But the world wasn't always kind to people like Aisha. A group of hospital interns, young men from well-off families, fresh out of medical school, had recently been assigned to her floor. They saw her not as a skilled, experienced nurse, but as someone beneath them. They whispered behind her back, mocked her uniform, even made rude jokes about her modest clothes. At first, Aisha ignored it. She had dealt with disrespect before. But things began to escalate. They started taking equipment from her station, hiding her patient charts, and laughing when she struggled to find them. It was childish and cruel. One rainy night, just past midnight, Aisha was hurrying down the corridor carrying a tray of urgent supplies. The ward was quiet, most patients asleep. As she passed the staff lounge, she heard muffled laughter. The interns were inside, playing cards, sipping coffee, ignoring their duties. She tried to pass without looking, but one of them, Raheel, the ringleader, called out. "Hey nurse, fetch us some snacks, will you? You're good at running around." She pretended not to hear. But as she passed, another one stuck out his foot. Aisha didn't see it in time. Her foot caught, and she crashed forward. The tray flew from her hands, supplies scattering across the floor. She landed hard on her side, pain shooting through her elbow. The laughter that followed was sharp, cruel, and echoing in the empty hallway. One of them even clapped slowly, mocking her. "Careful, nurse, wouldn't want you breaking a nail." Her heart pounded, not from embarrassment, but from the deep, raw anger swelling inside. She slowly pushed herself up, ignoring the sting in her arm. "What is wrong with you people?" she asked, her voice trembling. But instead of answering, Raheel smirked and gave her a shove with his shoulder as he passed. The force sent her stumbling again, this time into a nearby break room. She hit the edge of a chair, and the leg snapped off with a loud crack. For a moment, she just stood there, breathing heavily, staring at the broken piece of wood in her hand. The bullies were still laughing, until they saw her expression change. Her eyes, usually so soft and kind, were now burning with a cold, fierce determination. The nurse they thought they could push around was gone. Aisha stepped out of the break room slowly, her grip firm on the broken chair leg. She didn't wave it around or shout. She simply walked toward them with the steady steps of someone who had made up her mind. The laughter died. One of the interns muttered nervously, "Whoa, calm down, we were just joking." But Aisha didn't stop. "You think this is funny?" she asked quietly. "You think shoving someone who spends her nights saving lives is a joke? You think my kindness is weakness?" Her voice was low but carried through the hallway. The bullies exchanged uneasy glances. Raheel tried to smirk, but it faltered under her gaze. "You don't know me," she continued, taking a step closer. "You don't know the nights I've worked with no sleep. The times I've watched people take their last breath in my arms. The sacrifices I've made for this hospital while you sit here playing cards. And tonight, you crossed the line." The broken chair leg was still in her hand, not raised, but held as if it belonged there. Her stance wasn't violent, it was commanding. She could have hit them, and maybe they thought she would. But instead, she walked past them, still holding the piece of wood, and began picking up the supplies she had dropped. Slowly. Deliberately. And in that silence, the interns felt something far more powerful than fear. They felt shame. Later that night, word of the incident spread. The hospital administrator, an older doctor who had worked alongside Aisha for years, called her into his office. He listened as she described what had happened, not hiding her anger, but not dramatizing it either. By morning, the interns were reassigned to other departments, placed under strict supervision. They would not be returning to her ward. But the real change happened quietly. The next time Aisha walked down that hallway, people moved aside, not out of fear, but out of respect. She had shown them that standing up for yourself didn't always mean shouting or fighting. Sometimes, it meant facing your bullies head-on, letting them see exactly how much strength they had underestimated. Months later, when a new batch of young interns arrived, the older nurses told them the story of the night Aisha stood up with the broken chair leg. And though she never liked attention, Aisha allowed herself a small smile every time she saw the respect in their eyes. Because she knew that no matter how quietly you live, there comes a moment when you must stand. And when that moment comes, you stand tall,